Hello, everyone. Today is July 29th, 2021. This is the Kubernetes storage SIG meeting. So today we will go over our 1.22 planning spreadsheet. We have a couple of deadlines that just passed this Tuesday, July 27th, is deadline to get your doc PR reviewed and merged, and also feature blog ready for review. So I hope everyone didn't miss this deadline. And then the next deadline is Wednesday, August 4th, which is next week. That is the 1.22 GA date. And then we have a few things in agenda after we go over the planning spreadsheet. So let's look at the spreadsheet first. First one is delegate FS group to Scissor driver instead of a kubelet. Cheng or Armand, do you have an update for this?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so this was done and implemented.
Oh, okay, great.
It's still an alpha feature though, so yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this is a, this is okay, so the alpha, and then next release we'll try to move beta. That's next, right? So this is still just alpha, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is a CSI online offline resizing volume expansion update.
So yeah, so we I think we had a design, and we like this and the next item. Basically, we are blocked on the recovery from resize failure, and we have a design that we worked and tried to push it forward. And I implemented the feature, but we found some corner cases, risk conditions that still require changes. So we have to kind of modify the design, and we'll try this in next quarter.
Okay, so you also talked about this next one. So this one is move to 1.23. The design changes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next one is the CSI in-tree read-only handling. Is Humble here? Okay, Chang, do you know the status for this? Is Chang here? All right. Maybe it's the same. So I see there's a PR there. So probably still waiting for review. Next one is an issue related to assuming volumes are mount points. Is Xing here or Mukahit? So, okay, it looks like there's no update. Okay, I'll just say no update if I don't hear anything here. Next one is storage capacity tracking for POP scheduling. Bug fixing. Michelle, is there any update for this, or it's just bug fixing?
Yeah, I think it was just bug fixing for these next two features. I haven't seen any new bug fixes recently, but yeah, we'll have to sync up with Patrick and see if there's any other major issues remaining.
Okay. Thank you. So cover the next one as well, this PVC inline ephemeral volume. And spreading over failure domain. Okay, so yeah, this is mine, but this is blocked by the following one volume group. I think I still need to update the cap. Update. And next, CSI auto tree move iSCSI fit and finish is Kahumbo working on this one, I believe. Okay. Does anyone know anything? Otherwise, I'll just say no update. So, and then the next one is same CS auto tree. This is for the Samba Scissor driver. Move that to GA.
I have some update on this.
Sure.
So we've already switched to CSI proxy. So this make the Windows part also GA. So now the whole, both the Windows part. So now it's like official V1 is out for both Windows and the Linux.
Okay. So 1.0?
Actually, it's already 1.2 because 1.0 was Linux and 1.2 contains a GA for both Windows and Linux.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Next one is the sent out deprecating notice for Flex Volume. Michelle, have you got a chance to review the write-up for this, the deprecation notice for the Flex?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking a note, or I'm taking a look.
All right, thank you. Next one is PVC volume snapshot namespace transfer. Is Mustafa on the call? Thought he said he's going to join. Maybe not. So we had a design meeting on Tuesday. Yeah, so I have sent out the meeting minutes. I think Mustafa is going to look at that and maybe need to write up the cap based on the discussions. So I think the suggestion in that meeting is to look at volume snapshot namespace transfer first, because for PVC there are a lot of race conditions we need to consider. And I think we also discussed how to handle secrets, but I think that still need more thought, I think. So for if it's secrets will be easy to handle. With secrets we still need to look more into it. I think that's that's the update. Volume House. So we also had a meeting on Volume House next steps. So we discussed whether we can have our external house monitor controller to also handle the reaction if something goes wrong with the volume. So I think we need to write up some details. So I have pinned Nick to write up some details on how to do that, because he actually have an implementation for that. And also another thing is we also talked about, we want to add Volume House into metrics, starting from node side, I think. Yeah, so we'll need to have some follow-up discussions on that. Next one is volume populator data source. Ben, do you want to give an update?
Yeah, the docs are merged. The code, of course, already merged. The blog draft is up and ready for review. I'm working on changes to the out of tree projects to support the new Alpha API. I have two very small PRs that need to be reviewed. I don't know, Xing, would you be interested in being my reviewer for the stuff?
I will. Yeah, I will take a look. Yeah,
I'll send you links to those then.
Assign that to me then.
Okay.
That'll show up on my,
And I don't know what the review process is for blogs, if they want technical reviewers in addition to,
Yeah, they normally ask for that, so I can look up that as well.
Yeah, whoever would like to do the blog technical review, that's starting now. They've set a published date of August 30th, so it'll be substantially after the release, although I think all the same deadlines still apply to get it ready to go.
Okay, so we have until August the 30th to review it, or do we need to?
No, I expect that it has to be ready to publish.
Okay.
By the same date as everything else. They just won't actually pull the trigger because they'd like to stage the actual releases of blogs.
Right. So is that August 4th, the GA date, or what? When do they?
That's what I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know that the deadline for having it reviewable was Tuesday, and that's what I achieved.
Okay.
I had my draft done by Tuesday.
Okay, we'll just say review it by, put it like that.
Yeah. So those are the main things for completing the alpha, and then we have to turn around and try to move it to beta 123.
Okay.
But that should be easier now that like we've dealt with all the hard technical questions, and it's just a matter of, getting people to bang on it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next one is Cozy. Do you have anyone to give an update on this? Srini or Ben, you want to talk about this?
I can't think of any specific updates. I know that we've decreased from 2 weekly meetings to 1 weekly meeting, and Sid has done a ton of work on rewriting the KEP, but I don't know where that review stands. I know everything's in much better shape, and we're not arguing about big, complicated things anymore, which is why we decreased the meeting frequency. But we still need to get through the KEP review and actually get to the implementable place for. Well, I don't know if we're aiming at 122 or 123 at this point.
I think we passed 122. It's too late. We can get another update from Sid right after this meeting.
Yes. The regular meeting for Cozy is the one after this one, so we can find out what's going on.
Yeah. I think last time he was asking us for review, so I should take a look at the KEP. I don't know if he got Tim to start reviewing it yet. That I'm not sure. So check with him. Thank you. Next one is the change block tracking. Is Fang on the call by any chance? So we actually reviewed this in yesterday's data protection working group meeting. So I think Fang is going to take those feedbacks and update the doc. Right now it's a Google Doc. It's not a KEP yet.
And all the API proposals are sort of in pseudocode, not in like actual, protobuf message definitions.
Right, because it's not a complete KEP yet, right? So it's a kind of still trying to sort out some other details before we put it.
Yeah, it's good to have the high level stuff sorted out first, but I think it's ready to go to something more concrete.
Yeah, we can maybe try that in 1.23 and try to put the KEP together. Yeah. Okay, so next one is the new rewrite once access mode. Chris?
Yeah, the alpha docs are merged and currently addressing feedback on the feature blog.
Okay, thank you.
When is that blog going to go out?
When is the feature blog? I'm not sure. I just know it needed to be ready for review by yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, in mine they put a date like in the PR to say this is August 30th. So I imagine you'll get the same kind of a date set.
Take a look.
Okay, thank you. Next one is CSI proxy for Windows.
That one is all done. The docs have been merged, and I think the blog is being reviewed right now. There were some comments, and I think Mauricio is addressing them.
Okay, thank you. Do you know the publish date?
I do not.
Not sure. Okay, only Ben got a publish date. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, next one, CSI migration, core bugs and issues. Jiawei, do you have any update on this?
Yeah, yeah, sorry. So for the core issues and bugs, I think we still have one or two bugs. I need to get them fixed by end of next release. And I will certainly do that, yeah.
Okay, in 1.23, you say?
Yeah,
okay.
1.23.
Okay, thank you. Next one, CSI migration, deprecation, into drivers.
That one is done. I have 2 doc PR merged and also deprecation notice and release message sent out. And also I sent email to SIG storage for the broader notification. So I think that one is done, yeah.
Okay. I think there is one more doc PR about the code byte driver. Yeah, maybe I'll see that to you. So I was reviewing.
Okay, sure. Sure. Okay.
And next one, CS migration, vSphere. Yeah, so the Windows support, I think that's the same. Windows support we're looking at end of year. NFS before that, we're still not sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I also noticed today that the CSI driver doesn't work in Kubernetes 122.
Yeah.
So the migration is kind of broken there.
Yeah. So this is because of the CRD beta version of CRD no longer is no longer supported in 1.22, and our CSI driver has not updated with this V1 version of CRD yet. So it will not work in 1.22. Yeah, so I see that you have there's a PR from Fabio on that. Yeah, I'm talking to the team. So right now, I think so far what I got is maybe we can get this one merged in the main master, but then for 2.3 drivers, and that's already finished testing. And then we're not really claiming support for 1.22. So that has to come a little later, like after the 1.22 GA, then we do testing and then we can claim support for that. So that's what I got so far.
And do you know how long will it take to get a new release?
I will check and see. I will check how that works.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Should we capture that in the release notes of 122 that the people who are using CSI driver migration should not upgrade Kubernetes yet?
We could maybe, yeah. Yeah, we should probably add some release notes. Is that too late, Michelle? When do we? I don't know if it's too late to add that release notes. But we can ask the release team.
Yeah, they've already hit RC.0.
I'm sorry.
It hasn't been released yet, so I think we still
can ask the release
add
team.
something.
We can ask release team. Okay. Yeah, just at least warn people not to upgrade, wait for a fix, something. Okay. Yeah, so we actually the thing is sometimes people don't really look at the document. So, but in document we actually have a support matrix. So we actually have a maximum supported version that's so only if it's tested, then we list there. Yeah. This one is getting a little tricky. We kind of find out this one kind of late. So. Okay, thanks. And next one is Azure Disk. Do we have any update on this Azure Disk and the Azure file? Or is this,
I don't think so. I think for Azure file, like it's blocking by the FS group, so we will have to wait for FS group. Okay. Is that the conclusion amount?
But FS group is that, I thought that will be in, right?
Yeah, so but it's still alpha. So in next release we want to enable Azure file migration by default. So in next release we should be able to migrate. Enable Azure file migration by default.
Oh, so you're saying we'll wait for the FS group to be beta in 1.23.
Yeah. So and,
okay. This one, okay. And this one is no update, I guess. Disk. Is that right, Jawi?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then disk one we just did not. We could have enabled by default theoretically.
Okay.
But we just
didn't do it. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't do it. I think we will do it in next release along with the other drivers.
Okay, thank you. The next one is GCE. Beta and on by default. Is this one done or no update?
Yeah, so previously we're trying to turn this on by default in this release, and we had a PR to install PDCSI driver in the kubeup script, but we got some objections from the SIG architecture and some other SIG leaders, and they feel like this should not be included in the kubeup. And they mentioned that this, like installing the PDCSI driver and stuff like, and tests including PD should be part of the SIG cloud provider stuff. So they encourage us to move all those CSI migration and PD related stuff to SIG, to GC cloud provider repo. And we had a detailed plan. I think Matt have a very detailed plan on how we're going to do that in 1.23 release. So the current status is we're going to turn it on by default in 1.23, and we will fix the tests and all that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And next one is AWS. By default, is this one ready or is this no?
I don't. They're still working on Windows support, so I don't think they were able to turn on by default.
All right. Thank you. Next one is system migration, SafeFS, SafeRBD. Still waiting, I guess. So, has anyone heard anything about this one? It's an update. And the next one, the control volume mode conversion between source and target PVC. Is Rona gonna call any chance? Yeah, so we actually had a meeting to review this, I think 2 weeks back in the data protection one group meeting. So Ronak is updating the document, and also we got some feedback from Xiangqian. So I think he's trying to write up more details in that doc before we send an email to the security group to get their feedback on our proposal. Okay. Next one is secret protection. Is Masaki on the call? Okay, I think this is actually still the same. So just no update for now. Next one is a user ID ownership in config maps and secrets. This is a project with SIG auth. And Jawed, Herman, is there any update or is it the same, no update?
I need to ping Ambashak. I haven't got any updates from him.
Okay. Thank you. Next one is the graceful no shutdown with SIG node. So yeah, I think this one still trying to figure out how to use this information provided by the graceful no shutdown. Did some tests, but I didn't get the information that I'm looking for. So still trying to figure out how we can use that information to know that it's really a shutdown. So need more time to figure that out. Next one is enable user namespace in kubelet. So UIDs get shifted. This is a project with SIG node, and I don't know who's working on this. Come on, do you know anything about this one? Or
is this something Ben added for the user ID shifted thingy?
I think.
Oh no, this is the user namespace.
Yeah, I think you were looking at this, but but this is probably someone from SIG node, so we don't even have a name. I'm not sure what's the status.
It got merged. We didn't.
Was merged.
Is this?
Merged. This is the. Oh, okay. Now I remember. This is the exception grant. Okay, so this one is down then. Okay.
Yeah, even implementation is merged last I checked. So, okay. Yeah, it doesn't. It pretty much excludes all the storage bits. So.
Oh, so it's not really does not really have much impact on us. You're saying?
Yeah, the storage things don't work generally in this few.
Not working with the. I'm sorry. What does not affect us?
I'm saying that like things like most of the CSI, most of the drivers don't work. The local volumes requires hacks. So
okay.
If people run with this, it's just storage is mostly broken. So and that's something that's by the design. That's by design, and yeah.
Okay. So what do we need to do with this? Do we need to pay attention to this, or just nothing? I was just wondering what. I mean, we are tracking it here, right? So is there anything we need to pay attention to, or?
I guess once they move to beta and then try to, there are like how they're going to end-to-end test this parallelly with the rest of, like we had this, so we have this alternate mode of deploying kubelet and which is not E2E tested. And that's a concern. Like it will be a mode which is basically kind of orphaned if not properly tested. So we need to keep an eye out from that perspective, like.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Next one is PVC created by Staples said will not be auto removed. Is Matt here? Okay, so Michelle, do we have an update? This didn't make it, right?
Yeah, I think this didn't make it, so we're pushing it to 123.
Okay. Thank you. Next one is voting expansion for Staples said. Is Shalini here by any chance? So I synced up with her, and she actually submitted a cap. So I think we need to get someone to review it. So I have taken a look and added some comments. So do we have other people sign up to review this? Is it Command, Matt, or? this is the state board expansion for state facet. So Haman, you probably should take a look.
Yeah, like is the cap ready? I don't know.
The cap, yeah. I will add that here. Yeah, I think it's the cap is ready. I added some comments there, but I think you can take a look. And since you reviewed the previous version, right? So
yeah,
you probably have more context on that. Okay. Next one is a container notifier for application snapshot. The status is the same. We're still waiting for, just copy this one. Still waiting for signal to review and approve. Next one is Kubernetes utils mount splitting new repo. Srini, is Srini here? Does anyone know? Saad or Yang, do you know, do we have any status on this or?
I have no updates.
Okay. Thanks. The next one is the one that we worked with SIG scheduling, prioritization on volume capacity. Michelle, do you know any update on this one?
There were some updates made this release to make the scheduler plugin configurable through the scheduler config. I think that was all that was targeted for this release.
So that's merged basically, right?
Yeah, that's merged.
Great, thank you. Next one is CSS service account token, and this one is our targeting GA. Michelle,
yeah, and I
complete?
believe this one merged.
Okay.
So we should be good here.
Okay.
I forget if they were going to do a blog post or not.
They didn't sign up for that one. I don't think.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I should probably double check. I think because this is GA, I think we actually asked. Yeah, I think you probably pinned the Shihang or whoever is working on this. So, but I don't know the status after that. I believe we actually added this one. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes.
Yeah, let's double check if we added it to the list, and then I can sync up with Shihang.
Okay, I think it is, but I will double check. Thank you. Okay, so that's all we have in this planning spreadsheet. Now let's look at the other items we have here. So the first one added by Balu. Balu, are you there?
Yes, Shin.
Okay. Do you want to talk about this issue?
Yeah, sure. So what I want to bring up over here is basically to discuss about supporting list volume publish node capability only for block and not for file. So currently we have a vSphere CSI driver which is used for both block and file, and then we see that we are creating volume attachments for both block and file since we have a single CSI driver. And then whenever we are implementing the list volumes, we see that the reconciliations happens for both block and file, which we don't want to have. We want it only for block volume and not for file. Because for file, we see that if there's any sort of unmounting and stuff, the kubelet will take care of the reconciliation. But then if any volume is detached out of band for block volumes, we rely on list volumes for basically reconciliation by the external attacher. So what I'm looking for basically is there a way that we can support this publish nodes for block and not for file? Right now, I don't see that. I've seen Google or Azure, the drivers, they have individual CSI drivers separate for block and file. And then for some other drivers, I see there's a single driver for both block and file. And for those drivers, I don't see they have implemented publish nodes. So now that we have started implementing the list volumes for vSphere CSI driver, we are looking into a way, how do we make sure that we get the actual state for file volumes from the backend. We don't have any way of getting that actual information, but then we want a way where we can skip publishing nodes for file volumes, but then do it only for block volumes.
Then NetApp's Trident does both block and file, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but I think you have to ask you have to ask Ben about that. But then you don't support published nodes, right? That's we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, we don't support published nodes at all, and when we do, we will support it for both. I think that's your only option, is do neither or both.
Yeah,
I did sort of throw out a suggestion. Because of the way that the sidecar consumes it, you can get away with faking it to a small extent, like remembering the list of published nodes in memory only, and then letting it reconcile every time the pod restarts. It's kind of gross, but
it's basically the driver will have to remember that.
Yeah, we have thought about that as well, but then it's not actually the actual state. We're kind of faking it. So
well, the important thing to recognize is if the driver has incorrect information and doesn't return a node that it actually should be published to, all the sidecar is going to do is it's just going to call controller publish again, and because it's idempotent, that's harmless.
Yes.
So, if you just had an in-memory data structure remembering the list of published nodes for each volume that got reset every time the driver restarted, you get a bunch of controller publishes every time the driver restarted, and then you'd have to remember them, but it wouldn't hurt anything. So it's not the end of the world to not implement it correctly.
We agree on that. But then, like, we know that one option is a fake, which is okay for us. But then if there's a way, like, we know that we don't have to do it per file, why not just export the capability, something like list volume publish node only for block, and then when we use it, they only do it for block volumes and not for file volumes from the external.
Can you jog my memory and remind me what this capability is for, the list volume publish nodes?
The idea behind this is that the external attacher wants to be able to repair damaged attachments, and so it needs a way to ask the SP, like, is this volume published to this node right now? And so the way it does it is by listing the volume and then getting its list of attachments. And if anything's missing, it will assume that there's been a damaged attachment. It'll attempt to repair it, which is nice behavior. I love it. But it depends on the driver knowing which volumes are accessible on which nodes. And if your driver doesn't do that, and it doesn't have to, then you can't implement the capability. So what we're going to do is actually improve the driver so that we know, and then we can properly implement this, because it's worth it.
So your plan, Ben, so your plan is to save that information in memory? Is that your plan, or what?
No, our plan is to get the actual state. We'll keep detailed. We'll actually know.
So like on your storage system, you want to have that, and then you want to be able to retrieve that from your storage system.
That's the correct way to do it.
Yeah.
If you want to get the benefit, you have to do it that way. Right? Because the benefit is if someone unpublishes something behind Kubernetes back, this is how Kubernetes finds out about it and fixes it.
No, at least from the vSphere side, we don't see a way of getting, like, for file volumes, it's all IP addresses, right? It doesn't have to deal in a way with nodes and stuff. So we're finding it difficult to get the actual information specifically for the nodes.
Yeah, you need to be able to store some table somewhere that has those kinds of mappings so that you can return that information back. It forces the controller plugin to be stateful, but there's so many things in CSI that force the controller plugin to be stateful that we just gave up on trying to make it stateless and said, okay, we're going to have a bunch of state that we carry around so that we can correctly implement the spec.
Is it a problem only specific to like how much state, like for the drivers that are meta drivers and support multiple types like this, like both read-write many and read-write once in same block and file in the same in the same driver?
Yeah. Now, if you have different drivers, then there's no problem at all. Like
I think that's the problem. Like, you should have separate drivers because it's not about block volumes and file volumes. It's about the storage backend behind. I can have a file volume backed by a block device, and that it makes perfect sense to have the node publish nodes there, and it is useful. But just for NFS or whatever you use for the file systems volumes, it doesn't make any sense.
No, at least for VMware, we have a single storage infrastructure which is responsible for both file volumes and block volumes. It takes care of that.
Yeah,
so
but
the reason we have like a meta driver that has multiple implementations behind it is because it allows you to set up your storage class once and then over time add more capacity or to it, behind the scenes without having to create more storage classes and add new provisioners. You can just gracefully expand your pool of storage as much as you want, and it all looks like one CSI driver to Kubernetes.
But it's also a problem. There's another problem that you're going to run, and I talked with Michelle about is like the FS group support, because like it's orthogonal, but these drivers like for block volumes we will do the FS group recursively, but for NFS we don't want to do, and we are trying to move away from like this guesswork we are doing in Kubernetes and move it to CSI driver object, and we can't do that if there's only one CSI driver object for one driver. So
we already have that problem. I don't think that gets any worse. And the one you mentioned is a definite problem because like if we mix iSCSI and NFS, Kubernetes doesn't know which any particular volume is. And so it makes it hard for Kubernetes to do the right thing, but the CSI driver can do the right thing. So the more we can push that kind of stuff down into CSI, the more it lets people just solve it themselves.
We cannot. I mean, my opinion on this is like basically we should discourage people from creating meta drivers like this. I don't know like how we get out of this, but
I was going to say the ship seems to have sailed. I don't know how to go backwards on that.
Right, but that leads to the problem with list volumes published nodes. Like you need to do it in the CSI driver somehow.
Right. And
instead of creating new capabilities, instead of creating new capabilities, like you should deal it with it somehow.
And there's a long list of these kinds of funny corner cases where you basically need state in the controller plugin in order to do the right thing. The one I ran into not too long ago was the file system block duality problem, where you can have a volume that is a file system, and you can take a snapshot of it, and then you can create a volume from the snapshot that's actually of a block type, and then you can take a snapshot of that, and then you can turn that back into a file system volume. But you can change the file system from like ext4 to XFS along that chain, and nobody stops you. And so like, unless the CSI driver remembers that it used to be ext, then you have no way to, prevent the bad thing from happening when they try to thaw it out as an XFS volume or something. You'd have to basically just store that state somewhere. There's so many corner cases where if you don't have memory on the controller, you can't do the right thing.
Has anyone actually implemented this in their driver to support for the file system based storage?
For the published volumes?
I'm talking about publishing notes. Yeah, list volume publishing notes.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if anyone has done this already. I know you have, but I know you said you plan to. You have not done that yet, right? So I'm just wondering if there's anyone.
Trident has not done it. I've done it in two of my POC drivers.
But I saw yours is not really file based, right?
No, I have my POC drivers support both block and file.
Like this capability doesn't make sense for file system volumes because they don't have third party attach.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering if there was any a real vendor who has actually done this would be good.
Yeah.
Wait, I wanted to hear that. What did Jan say? Say that again.
I think he was saying it's not needed for.
Sorry. For file system volumes like Samba or NFS, it doesn't make sense because they don't have third-party attach and detach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but they can have an ACL that says nodes 1, 3, and 5 are allowed to mount it, and nodes 2, 4, and 6 are not. Right, and then the idea is controller publish changes that access list. and controller unpublished changes that access list. And the list volume with published node IDs allows the external attacher to find out if the ACLs are correct or not.
Yeah, that's correct, but I haven't seen such a driver yet.
Yeah, so that's
I know the Azure file driver does implement controller publish, but I don't remember if it's for this reason or for something else.
So we can take a look at that then.
I mean, properly implementing controller publish, with some sort of access control is important from a security perspective. If every volume is accessible to every node, then, when someone takes over a node, all the data is gone. And that's something we would like to prevent. I mean, and fortunately, controller publish gives you all the knobs you need to do it. It's just, you have to actually implement it. And if you do implement it, then things like implementing published node IDs is no big deal because you know who it's published to.
So what you guys are suggesting is that either fake it in the memory or get the information from the storage backend.
Yeah, but my recommendation is do it correctly. Like have the real information and feed it back into Kubernetes, and with the understanding that that's not easy to do, but it's worth doing. If you don't want to do the hard work, you can probably get away with faking it a little bit.
Yeah. So one question I have is like, wouldn't the kubelet automatically take care of that? Like if let's say if some volume is unmounted and stuff, kubelet rescans the devices and then see something has got unmounted and retry it again.
This is all in the external attacher sidecar. It's the only thing that consumes this information, as far as I know.
True, but I'm just talking for the file volumes. Let's say if something got unmounted out of, like for some reason something happened to the unmounted volume, wouldn't kubelet automatically take care of reconciliation of those volumes, like see the underlying
No.
Yeah, but that would be a totally separate issue anyways. This is has controller publish been called and affected correctly? The node stuff is orthogonal. So this will just cause a retry to controller.
No, I understand this one. I understand this one. I'm just asking from the perspective of the kubelet, how does it behave? Okay.
Kubelet does not reconcile mounts today. Once it's mounted, then kubelet thinks it's mounted and doesn't check.
Okay. And if it becomes unmounted, the pod probably just crashes and kubelet says, oops, the pod crashed. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, so if a volume is detached out of band and gets attached by this mechanism, but it gets attached on different device on the kubelet is not going to fix it. It remains unfixable.
Makes sense. Okay, so somehow we have to rely on the actual steel itself. Okay, cool.
That also begs the question though, that should we fix that FS group change policy in the CSR driver to support these meta drivers before that thing go GA?
I mean, we have so many other things that assume not meta drivers. I don't know if fixing this one thing will help.
So overall, you also suggest that, like based on whatever you worked on, meta drivers isn't a good option.
Yeah, it doesn't interact well with the assumptions that we have in kubelet side in particular. So,
like I think
it forces you to do a ton of work as the driver implementer.
To really support something like a meta driver, I think the capabilities would need to be sort of queried dynamically, and you would have to like pass in the volume IDE with the query so that the driver can say whether or not they support it with its specific volume.
Or you can just do what we do today and say it's still the capabilities are blanket capabilities, and you either support them on everything you support or you don't support them on anything you support. I mean, that's the world we live in now, and it's not that bad.
Okay, makes sense. Cool, Xing, I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for raising this. And Xing, can you put down a conclusion here just so that if someone's following the notes?
Just for some more background, like for example, Ceph CSI driver has both RBD and Ceph file. Suppose what's called Cephfs.
I thought that's separate drivers, right?
But within the same repo actually. So it's the same this thing. So they have the different
same driver. I thought okay. I thought different. All right.
They are different. They are different drivers, but they share quite some code.
Yeah, they share the code. So it's possible to have different string and still share the code. So like, I think a lot of people are implementing it to share some code, but I'm just saying that that's probably a good example.
But if you do that, you end up with like 2 copies of all the sidecars, right?
Yeah.
But we have a project to unify the sidecars, right? Like,
but you'll still have 2 of the unified sidecars in that world.
Oh, I saw a CSI driver that deploys one set of sidecars and like 3 drivers in the same pod. And surprisingly, it worked somehow. But yeah, that's a very different issue. Don't do that, please. Please don't do that.
What, do they have like multiple copies of each sidecar in the same pod?
I don't know. They did some magic, some proxying. But yeah, don't do that, please.
Yeah, that sounds pretty evil.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Have one sidecar set for each driver, and it will work.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. You have other questions, Palu? Are you all set with this?
Yeah, I think I'm good. Thanks for the permission, guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the next, Ipo Zhang, do you want to talk about this next issue?
Yeah, so I raised this discussion point in a Slack thread before, but basically, would the community be interested in like a generic CSI node-level plugin for local volume? Basically, it should match like all the features of the current entry like local volume plugin in Kubernetes.
Is this only node? Are you saying it does not implement like create volume or anything? It's only for node publish those node functions. Is that what you mean?
Correct. Yeah, because I guess like we're trying to decouple like the kind of provisioning of the local disks themselves to like the actual mount and unmount. So essentially like the current entry plugin does mostly like the it has the option to format like the block volume, but like mostly for like file system volume, it just does like unmount and unmount or like a bind mount. So like the idea is this could be kind of generalized to like a CSI like node level plugin, and that way like so the use case for us is like we're forced to kind of needing to carry this downstream patch to do like a migration for like existing local volumes that were provisioned by like the local static provisioner, but it would be nice to like not having to carry this internal patch and be able to like have a generic way of doing this migration.
Michelle,
I guess the question is like, why do you need to migrate?
Because like we have a lot of customers that are using like we have this, we're going through this transition where like existing statically provisioned local volumes, we don't want to just have to like ask all the customers to switch over their storage class. So we're doing kind of this migration, like using the CSI migration plugin, but instead of having to carry like the internal patch, it would be good to kind of to kind of make it somewhat generic.
I guess I'm kind of wondering like if this node plugin is exactly the same as the entry volume, like what are we getting from the CSI driver?
So one advantage that we see is like you're not really like if there's going to be any changes to this, like you're not really tied down to the Kubernetes release schedule. So like if downstream wants to kind of add additional, like for example, runtime like level features, you could kind of fork the upstream entry plugin and be able to add your own like internal features to it, without needing to actually touch like the actual Kubernetes code.
Like
I think, I mean,
common. Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I think we've kind of done something similar with like the iSCSI driver. Like I believe the current iSCSI CSI driver only supports publish. But I'm actually interested in like adding more than what Intrigue can do. Like with the volume capacity tracking, I think we can actually add dynamic provisioning support to local volumes now. And so I would actually be interested in a CSI driver that does more than just the node side, but also can do the provisioning side.
For iSCSI or for what?
For local volumes.
For local volumes. Yeah.
Yeah, we have some requests for it in OpenShift, and there's some like people wanted. There's some use case for dynamic provisioning of local volumes, and we have been looking at using something similar. Nothing certain yet, and we were wondering how it will live like side by side with other statically provisioned volumes. Like
Yeah, so I think that's the main challenge. I think we need to think about how they can coexist or transition. I think that is the more tricky part.
I'm sorry, I think we are on top of the hour. So yeah, so maybe Ivo, you can think about it and whether we can add more functionalities to this plugin, and we can continue. You can come back to talk about this in next meeting, and also continue on the Slack channel.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Sounds
we can
good.
continue in email too. Like, I think definitely, I think this is something we can pursue, but I would like to actually have it support the new capacity features that we're currently adding to it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are out of time. Deep, can we talk about this on Slack or?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Quick note for Saad. I think we tagged you on this question, so if you can,
sure,
that'd be great.
Okay,
nice.
Is this on GitHub or
on SIG storage Slack?
Okay, all right, cool. I'll take a look. Thanks for
I
the
think
heads up.
Paul Murray tagged you, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that's all we have today. Thanks, everyone. Bye.